Hello, welcome to another episode of Lunch and Learn here at Midtown High School, coming to you live from Midtown High School. Today I'm going to be talking about tips and tricks for Google Workspace. So let's dive in. My name is Jennifer Holland. I'm an educational technology specialist that works for the district and supports Midtown. So today I'm going to share some of my favorite tips for using Google. So there's so many apps and not enough time to go into all of them for this Lunch and Learn episode. We're going to be talking about Google Drive, as well as how you can quickly create docs, sheets, and slides from your browser, and also a little bit about Google Keep. So I love Google Drive. It's really important that you be as organized as possible with your Google Drive. So we want to make sure to give you a few of my favorite tips. So one of my favorite things is to organize, whether it's going with grid view or list view. There are people that are partial to one or the other, and so let's talk about what the difference is. So here we go. So when you look at your drive, you might notice that you have all different files here and information over on the left-hand side. But what you can do is you can actually organize your resources so that it is either list view or grid view. What does that mean? List view means that you actually have everything in a list, and the list view means you can see who the owner of an item is, as well as when it was most recently modified, versus a grid view means it's going to be a more visual option for you to be able to see what files you have in your Google Drive folder. You can also search over here on the left-hand side under My Drive. And when we talk about My Drive, that's what you own, belongs to you. You have shared drives, and then you also have Shared with Me. So Shared with Me is anything that someone says, hey, I'm going to send you a file. And if you're trying to look for it, you can find it under the Shared with Me option. So some of my favorite tips for Google Drive are color coding your folders. You can right click and color code your folders. I'm going to show you how to do that here in a second, but you can also add asterisks to the front of your folder names or file names. By doing that, it allows you to have those items be at the top of your alpha list. You can also add emojis to folders and file names. I like to do that. So if I'm recording something and I want to be able to see, hey, you know, this is something I'm going to use all the time, I will very often use that icon to indicate that. You can also use a starred option. Sorry, lunch, we got folks coming in right now, so people sliding in and joining us here for this Lunch and Learn episode. So you can also star using the starred option, because those things are going to live over in a separate kind of filter if you need to find those files. So here is my drive and how I've organized it. And what I've done is that I've used the color coding, because you can right click and choose color. And so maybe you might choose to, for those of you that have come here from Howard, formerly Inman, you might remember that you had color coded classes. So you had the red, yellow, blue, and green classes. You could do the same thing with color coding your folders by the subject areas or projects or what you're working on. There are those asterisks. Like I said, I like to put those in there because it makes it easier to filter these to the top. And then I've added in emojis. Here's a tip though. If you're going to add emojis, understand that emojis is actually considered text. And so Google recognizes it as text. So it filters it alphabetically that way. So if you really need something to be at the top, you're going to want to use that asterisk trick as well. So over on the left-hand side, when you select a file, you have these options. Very easy to share things. And you can also at that point star a file if you need to. So most of you probably, when you have to create a document, just quickly go to the drive and click new, and you can choose to create a new doc, sheet, slides, forms, or even a Google drawing. But there's also another way you can do that, which is to either type in your browser window, type docs Slides.new, Slides.new, or Sheets.new. This is one of my favorite tips here, is that I actually can just type in my browser window here, docs.new, and just like that, I have a new document. Same thing with Slides.new, so you don't have to go back to your drive. And if you're needing to organize a Google space or Google Sheet, Sheets.new works as well. So I didn't have to go back to my drive to access it to create a new one. I've got all three of those there. But this leads me to my next tip. So that's great. I created a Google slide, but I need to know where it should go. So my other tip is that once you create a file, you might want to be able to move it somewhere so you can better organize it. So up here, next to that start icon is actually the move file icon. If I click on that, I can actually move a file to different folders. So for instance, by default, it started in your drives. You need it to go into a particular folder for a particular class. You can click on it and you can send it to that class. So I want to share a little bit about Google Keep. If you're not using Google Keep to keep you organized, I highly recommend that you do. It is digital Post-it notes, and what's great is that there is a mobile version of Google Keep that you can access on your phone, and it works on Android or iPhone, and you have all the power of your notes in the palm of your hand. So that web app is great. So you can always add your notes quickly there, but you can also open up the mobile app and take notes whenever you need them. So what are some features of Google Keep? If you haven't used it, you can get to it by keep.google.com, and you can set reminders for things. You can share your notes. So you can actually share your notes with a team you're working on for a project. You can share your notes with your teacher or even with your parents. So maybe they have a checklist of things you need to be doing. You can do that. You can change the note colors. So color coordinating those right there. I can use a color-coded system, like I said, with the folders. So action items might be red or yellow or green, and then just notes you want to keep could be in blue. Additionally, you can add labels so you can keep yourself organized, and you can add checkboxes. That's my favorite way to use Google Keep, is to create checklists of things you need to do, and you can actually make it a reusable checklist. So things you need to do in a week for a project, and you can uncheck it when you're done at the end and reuse it. You can also copy a long note into Google Docs. The mobile app allows for voice notes, so you can actually record a voice note with maybe in class, or really quickly, you're like, I just want to record something really quickly. It will actually transcribe it and give you that information in text as well. And on the mobile app, you can use touch annotation, as well as I believe you can use touch annotation on your Chromebooks, which are touch capable. The other magical thing that Google Keep can do is you can pull text from images. You can actually take a picture using OCR and it say, please take that text out of that picture, which is really cool. So here is a quick little snapshot of my Google Keep, where I've organized it with tasks I'm working on, ideas I might have, or just checklists and things. So Google Keep is definitely a powerful tool for you to stay organized. So if you're not using it, I highly, highly suggest it. So some ideas of ways you might want to use it would be for to-do lists, for your project checklists, for any weekly tasks you need to do, for research and article lists. So as you're preparing for a project, you can actually grab those links and put them in a Google Keep, and then organize it later on when you're working on your project. It's great for team planning. Again, I love the voice notes and the setting reminders, so you can put a task that you need to do. And there's also a feature if you're using the mobile app to set a location, so it can remind you if you're out and about and you need to pick up something. It will remind you, oh, I'm supposed to pick up this art supply or this item that I need for a project. And as you drive by Publix or Michael's or wherever you're traveling to, it will actually alert you. So that's kind of a cool feature of the mobile app, setting those reminders. If you are not familiar with Google Keep, and I'm just mentioning it, it's not a deep dive talking about it now, I'm going to put a link to this tutorial. So if you're like, hey, that sounds like a cool app and I want to learn more about it, I'm going to put that link in the description of this video so you can check that out. If you have any questions or comment, please put those in the comments of this video. We'll check those out. If you have other ideas of things you'd like to learn more about, please let us know. You can reach out to Mr. Montero here in the Media Center and say, hey, I'd love to know a little bit more about this app or what. So thank you so much for watching this second session today for the Lunch and Learn series, and have a great day.